States, legally, are the duty bearers when it comes to guaranteeing human rights. Concurrently, the state is the only actor who can, legally, violate human rights. When we talk about the state, this includes all state organs and representatives. For example, the judicial power, courts, judges, the legislative power, chambers of parliament, members of parliament, and the executive power, police forces, state ministries and ministers, military forces, state representatives on the local levels like mayors, as well as all persons who have been vested with state authority for certain tasks, for example, public administration. All acts or omissions by these organs in their official capacity are attributed to the state, making the state accountable for this conduct. Under human rights law, a state has obligations to set a framework for conduct that enables people's enjoyment of their rights. We differentiate negative obligations and positive obligations. Negative duties oblige the state to respect human rights, to not unduly interfere in human rights. An example would be the obligation of the state to refrain from torturing an individual, respecting the prohibition of torture and inhumane or degrading treatment or punishment. Positive duties oblige the state to protect human rights and to fulfill human rights. In both cases, the state needs to become active in order to live up to its human rights obligations. We talk about the obligation to protect when we refer to the obligation of a state to take necessary measures to prevent or redress human rights abuses by private actors, individuals, private businesses. That means when one private actor is negatively impacting the enjoyment of a human right by an individual. For example, the state has the obligation to intervene if the physical integrity of one person is threatened by another private person. In this case, this would probably be a police officer actively intervening and protecting the right to physical integrity of the person attacked. We talk about the obligation to fulfill when we refer to the obligation of a state to implement general and structural measures that are needed to realize human rights, to take positive action to facilitate the enjoyment of human rights. This includes, for example, the duty to establish a functioning court system that is able to guarantee the right to a fair trial, or the duty to adopt laws criminalizing theft, protecting the right to property against abuse by private persons, to establish an educational system that allows for the realization of the right to education, etc. Most rights entail negative as well as positive obligations.